Well, good evening, everyone. Whether you are joining us online, I want to welcome you to our annual Vision Night. For those of us that are here, woohoo! You guys are awesome. I don't know if y'all can hear that. That is a feisty crowd. It's awesome. I'm excited that you guys are here. I'm excited to cast vision for this next year and see everything that we're going to be doing through groups, through student ministries, through children's ministry, through preschool ministry, through the life of our church, just to see how we will be in the process of developing and how developing Jesus followers into difference makers for a world of people far from God. I want to start off by introducing to you our student ministry team, Matt and Grant. So Matt and Grant, come on up.
It's just me. Well, so this year, 2020, we really wanted to be the best ministry year possible. And we just want you to know that doing ministry means to balance things no matter what is thrown your way. Like this. This says COVID. And you know, basically COVID shut down our church, shut down the economy, shut down life in general. But as a leader here, leading a ministry or leading a group of people here, you have to work with any of the challenges that are thrown your way, like going virtual. Basically, the student ministry staff had 2 weeks to completely turn on a dime, turn all our groups into virtual groups, do virtual Wednesday nights, do virtual Sunday mornings. And although that started off positive and strong, once everyone got out of school, our virtual presence has pretty much fell completely flat. We're seeing maybe 30% of what we were running before. And so we're kind of juggling this whole new virtual thing as we move forward. And frankly, it could be somewhat discouraging. And then you have, on top of that, work life. So all of you have jobs outside of doing church ministry here, and fortunately mine is doing church ministry all the time here, but a lot of our folks are working from home and their jobs have changed. They have more responsibilities, or maybe they have less responsibilities because their job has ended for some unfortunate reason. So that adds a lot of stress as well to what they might have. And then you've got family stuff. So we have families that have a ton of stress happening on them. Just so much stress that's brought by all of the nature of work and family and the COVID and all those things has brought so much stress on everybody. And then finally, we have school, right? So now we're trying to figure out the whole school situation. So in the student ministry, as we still talk to volunteers about who's going to be volunteering and who's not, many of our adult volunteers, like, this is the major hang-up. Like, well, I don't know what's happening with school. Or my kid's going to be home? Or my kid's going to be at school? Do I need to bring my, where's my kid going to be? And it just, frankly, creates so much stress for all of us. And so I guess the thing that Grant and I want everyone to know is that as leaders, we are dealing with a lot. And we just feel like we're juggling so many things. And so I just want us to recognize that all of us are doing the best we can with what we have. And just to be realistic with that. And so in our student ministry, a few things I want our volunteers to know is what can I do this fall based on all of this that I've got to deal with and juggle and hold and be stressed out about. I guess the first thing would be, don't ever forget that everything is easier with a smaller group. We get to focus on some things in student ministry now that we're smaller for a season that we wouldn't be able to do before. And things become faster and quicker, and changes become easier for us to do as we have changes coming up as well with a smaller group. Also, excellence is possible with smaller. So no more flying by the seat of our pants or off the cuff, but you can kind of lean into doing ministry that is more excellent in your area, whether it be in children's or students or adults, that you can really focus in on making things more excellent and not settling for less than the best in how you share the good news. And the last one is this. Well, two more things. We in student ministry now have time to kind of go old school, right? Rather than sending out mass text for who was at a small group or at a Wednesday night service, we can now send a handwritten note to every kid who happened to be there. Maybe you have time to send birthday cards or make personal phone calls or make personal visits or whatever it might be in your area. Focus on the benefit of being smaller allows you the opportunity to do more than you would be able to do before. And the last for all of us would be just to do the best we can. Because at some point, you're juggling all this, and you have to realize God's going to take care of all these things. And we really rely on Him and His truth and His Word to help move us forward, not just personally, but as a church. That God is in control, and He's going to take care of all these other issues. And then at some point, you'll know, no matter what's thrown your way, you can drop all those. And then, more COVID. Just kidding. All right, thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Matt and Grant. So as we are running through with each of the different age ministries, I was thinking through tonight, how could we appropriately give opportunity for every one of the age ministers time to be able to speak to everyone, whether you're tuning in online or in person. And I thought a great way to do that would be to integrate this TED Talk style format, where each of us gets a few minutes to share what's on our heart and what we believe God has for us for the next year. And so that's why you're seeing each of us take a few minutes of time tonight to be able to share what's going on. And so you'll get to see a little different flavors of every person. Matt and Grant, thank you guys for what you did. Next up, we've got Debbie.
So, you know, I'm pretty old school. I tell the kids all the time that I'm old because I am now. And so we've tried to keep on keeping on. We had to go virtual, and we were able to have the parents do Sunday school with their children because we buy Lifeway curriculum. We were able to put that all online, and they could do that with their children. We've mailed out all of the devotional magazines each month, which we're going to keep doing that because we found out it worked better. Kids didn't always pick them up in Sunday school. A lot of parents didn't even realize we had devotional magazines. So now I've been mailing them out every month. So we're going to continue to do that so that way everybody gets a devotional magazine. So we kind of kept, when we came back, we decided we were going to keep doing some things. We had day camp this summer, and we had about half the kids we've normally had, but we had a great day camp, and parents were very appreciative. And then, you know, there was all this discussion. Should we have Vacation Bible School? Should we not have Vacation Bible School? And so I'm not one that likes to stop. I want to keep on going with the momentum, so I said, let's do Vacation Bible School. And we had Vacation Bible School. We had over 245 enrolled in Vacation Bible School, and our daily average was 196, which that's half of what we normally have, but I thought in COVID world, that's pretty good. So then we decided we'd go ahead and go to kids camp. Again, things happened along the way. Should we go? Should we not go? Finally, on the Friday before we left on Monday, I emailed all the parents and I said, this is totally up to you. If your child goes or not, you have that decision to make. We'll give you a refund. I even told the counselors that were going with me, if you have any feelings about not wanting to go, it'll all be good. You know what? They all went. We took 50 kids and 18 adults, and we went to kids camp at Frontier Cove. And so we've tried to keep the momentum up. Not everybody came, and that was fine. We had it for who felt comfortable and who wanted to come. And that's what we've done in Sunday school and Sunday mornings as well. Most of our teachers are back. There are a few of our teachers who haven't come back because they're in that age range that they don't feel comfortable coming back, and they have some underlying issues, and so I don't blame them at all. But we've put some classes together. We now have one class of each grade. That's worked out well. When we start up again in September for the new Sunday school year, we're going to continue to do that for the time being because, like Matt said, we've learned that it's okay to be a little bit less. We can focus in on those kids and get to know those boys and girls a lot more. And so that was really, I think, a good lesson for me to learn at camp, because before, when we went to camp, I was the director of the kids' camp we went to with 10 churches. So I never really got to know the kids, the visitors that came with our children to children's camp. And I did this year, and it was so wonderful to be able to call them all by name. So wonderful to learn a little bit about them. And when 8 children prayed to receive Christ the night that we had the invitation, I was so thankful that those 8 children came to camp, and it was worth everything that we did. And so we're going to keep on keeping on. We're going to keep up with our schedule that we've had, do the best that we can. And the friends that want to come can, and the ones that can't come, we understand that. And we're just going to pray that soon they'll be able to come and join us and be with us. And so that's our plan for children's ministry for the 2020-2021 year.
Thank you, Debbie, and thank you, Jesus, for the 8 children that gave their lives to the Lord. That is awesome. I never get tired of hearing stories of people that surrender their hearts to Jesus, and that's why we do what we do, right there. Next up, I want to invite Sabrina up to hear what's happening in toddler and preschool ministry.
Well, thank you. I am excited to be here with those of you that are in person and those of you that are watching online. But just to talk a little bit about preschool ministry and what we do. You know, we are the littlest ones in First Baptist, so we have those babies through kindergarten. And we have several milestones that we normally celebrate with these children, and we start with expectant parents. And I brought a little show and tell. So we do a new baby or a packet for those that are expecting, and it has a little prayer booklet in there, so we're able to celebrate with parents as they begin to grow a family. So I wanted to share that with you because if any of you know of expectant parents, either in your community groups or somebody that you meet in worship, please let us know. We're happy to deliver it, or we'll give it to you and let you bless them with it. So that is one way that we celebrate. And then we, again, celebrate when the new babies arrive. And we take a new baby packet, and it has a copy of a book called Raising Your Child to Love the Lord. It's a great biblical principle book, and it focuses on prayer and relationships and scripture. So we like to give that to parents as they begin their family. And we include a little prayer bear just to let them know that we are praying that Jesus' arms will be wrapped closely around their child as they grow. And so we're excited to welcome new babies, but you know, we're excited anyway that we get preschoolers to come to church. And I've always said they don't come by themselves. It's a great joy to see families coming together. We haven't had a lot of that lately, but we have rejoiced with those that have come. We've had some guests come in, and we have some children that come with grandparents or their friends. And so it might not be considered a milestone, but one way we celebrate is just with consistent, regular attendance for preschoolers. It's awesome because that is huge for them to be here on a regular basis and get to know their teachers. So in preschool Sunday school, we continue to have 12 classes, and you might say, why are you doing that when we have so few children? But at this season, we wanted those boys and girls to be able to come if they were able to and have some sort of normalcy, be able to go to the same classroom and see a familiar face, a teacher that they knew. So we're going to start out the year with that, and we also do that so boys and girls can go to the same room for 2 hours, whether their parents or their family attends 8:30 or 11 o'clock worship. they have a class that also has Sunday school, and they're in that same room for 2 hours. And then we're excited to welcome some preschoolers back soon for Develop Night, when we'll have music and missions as well. So each of these classes, they prepare activities to learn Bible truths and develop those relationships at church. And those boys and girls are going to remember those faces that they have had at church, and those relationships, those people that have poured into their lives and invested in their future. So another milestone that we celebrate is really when we send them off to first grade and we get to see them participate in first grade Bible presentation. That's always exciting, so we look forward to that as well. So to begin the Sunday school this year, we're going to start with really the 3 P's, and the first one of those is prayer. Our teachers have received messages from parents in asking how we can pray for them, and we have been praying for peace in their homes, for patience with their children, for strong marriages, for decisions that they're making, that they would have wisdom and clarity, and for jobs and finances, freedom from worry, so much more that they have shared with us. So I am so proud of our preschool teachers that have been able to stay in contact with those families. And then we too have had to recreate the way that we do Sunday school, and we've been able to continue sending those lessons to them through digital resources. And the exciting thing is the parents get to experience firsthand teaching those boys and girls their Bible truths. They don't really know it, but they're also being trained as a Sunday school teacher, so when they do come back, they can join us. The second P is to plan. Our teachers are continuing to plan. We're going to continue using the Bible Studies for Life curriculum. It covers 10 concepts for preschoolers at their stage level of God and Jesus, Holy Spirit, Bible, salvation, creation, church, people, family, community. So we pack a lot into that hour that we have them in Sunday school. And each class plans their activities in the way that preschoolers learn, through play and firsthand experiences, repetition, their senses, and building those relationships. And so, as mentioned, we'll continue to plan for expanded ways to do Sunday school through different media, and we've even switched what we used to call make and take, where we would make it here and take it home. Now we call it take and make it home. So sometimes we deliver it, sometimes they pick it up, or we send it through the mail. But we continue to plan and prepare in many of those ways so that we're here on Sunday mornings and our teachers are serving through their giftedness, whether it be preparing the activities, telling the Bible stories, or writing cards and sending messages and texts. So they're continuing to reach boys and girls. So we've also just been challenged with our environment, how to keep it clean and safe for preschoolers. So I will say that we have always had a great procedure in keeping our rooms clean and disinfected, and so we have just enhanced that a little bit. Our maintenance team comes in and helps out with a mist that they spray, and so we're excited about that. We are keeping enough rooms open that we can physical distance with preschoolers, even though there's not any real guarantee with little ones, but we do have the space, and we're very grateful for that. So we'll continue to monitor and keep those safety measures in mind as we care for preschoolers. So our ministry really desires just to work together with our families to serve them and to work with their preschoolers as well in worship and scripture and community transformation at their own stage level. So we're going to pray, plan, and be prepared each week as preschoolers come to help develop them to know and love and serve Jesus. So anybody have any questions that are here? Okay, thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sabrina, and thank you for all you do caring for each of our children. Well, I guess now it's time for me to talk about adult ministries and what's happening here. About a week and a half ago, I had the chance to sit at the breakfast table, as is our custom as a family. We sat down, we had a great breakfast. My wife makes waffles or pancakes every Saturday. And so this particular Saturday, I decided, you know what, let's just go around the table, let's share everything that we want to do and we hope to accomplish that day. And my kids, I've got a 3-year-old girl that most of you know of named Jamie, a 5-year-old boy named Christopher, and a 7-year-old girl named Addie. They each went around the table and they all listed like 15 things that they wanted to do. And truth be told, if I had given them the ability to do it on their own, they probably would have accomplished each of those 15 things on their own before lunch and then said, Dad, I'm bored. The truth is that my kids are bored. And the average child right now is incredibly bored. I think the average adult is too. I think it's something to do with COVID, with not being able to be present around other people. It's just amplified this sense of needing to be around other people, of longing for community. It really is part of that deep God-centered hunger that God placed within us to be around other people and to grow close to Him. Well, that particular morning, rather than doing the 45 things, the 15 things that each of my 3 kids wanted to do, I sat down with them and I said, you know what, let's think about doing something different. And so I invited them into a conversation about maybe building a fort. And so we talked about how we could build a fort, how many blankets we wanted to use, how big we wanted it to be, where we would build it. And then we went to work to actually build it. And each of my kids had some great ideas. I remember one of them asked, well, what if we use this book to hold it down? Or what if we use this blanket to help create more space? Or what if we use this thing to help prop up the blanket? And so we spent an hour building this fort that was huge. We had a blast doing it together. And then after an hour, I was able to step back. And my kids that were bored, that their attention span just wanted to go after thing after thing after thing, to fill that void inside of each of them, spent the next 3 hours playing with that fort. It was an incredible time just being able to watch that take place and take shape. I think I learned something that Saturday morning, not only about my kids and about how to interact with them, but how each of us as human beings are wired and long for acceptance and community and belonging. And so I want to talk about those as we think about what discipleship may look like in 2020 and 2021 for adult ministries and for all of the ministries that God has called us to lead. Because I believe God wants each of us to develop people, to pour into them, to invest in them. And as we do so, I think we're going to see an incredible return in that. Just as my kids are bored, I think adults are bored in general. Matter of fact, I heard a stat a couple weeks ago. It's pretty staggering. For the average adult that tunes into a Zoom meeting online, 10 minutes of that Zoom meeting feels like an hour in real life. How many people feel that every time they're in a Zoom meeting? It's a reality that we all face, and we're doing the best that we can with the tools that we have. And that's an important thing that we need to do, but it's also good to be aware of that reality. For so many people, they're hungry for community, and they just don't know what to do with that. So we'll have some of our people that'll show up for one Zoom meeting, or for church, do one or the other, or they'll show up for community group once, and then they won't show up for a month because of that anxiety, that unknown of there's just too much time, and it feels like it's taking too much time. On that same call, I was on a phone call with some national leaders, and I got to hear what's happening both throughout the state of Oklahoma as well as around the country with churches. Churches at large are experiencing a lot of the same things we're experiencing. Churches, when the pandemic hit, a lot of churches were able to quickly pivot and transition to online. Those that were able to do so experienced tremendous growth. They actually had as many as 10 times as many people would show up in person online. Our church had a tremendous surge. I think at the peak we had as many as 6,000 people showing up online to watch our services. That was huge. Our groups did a great job pivoting, and many of you leaders stepped up to the plate in a big way to help everyone feel connected, to make lots of phone calls. A lot of churches didn't know what to do with groups. They actually shut those down. And so for 5-6 months, a lot of churches haven't been meeting with groups. And they're just now coming back to start asking the question, what does it look like for us to integrate groups? For us, our groups right now are running somewhere between 75 and 80% of where we were pre-COVID, which is really good, but I believe we can get beyond that number. We still have somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000 people that are showing up online to watch our services, and each one of those people, God has called to be a part of our church family, for us to develop them into Jesus followers who impact their families, their city, their neighbor, and the world with the hope of the gospel. And I believe we can do so as we do a couple of things. Just like I learned in spending time with my kids deeply wanted to spend personal time with me. They were thrilled that they got quality time with Daddy, rather than just going after thing after thing after thing. They desperately wanted that quality time. I think as leaders, as we stop what we're doing, we slow down, and we invest quality time in other people just to let them know they matter. Whether that's a phone call or a text outside of the meeting, that makes all the difference in the world for them. All of a sudden, they want to tune into us. They want to find out what's going on because we intentionally invested in them and gave them quality time. Another thing I believe that we can do is that in addition to quality time, we can invite everyone in our groups to join us in the work of creating or crafting the group, at least in such a way that they feel like when they show up for the group, they actually make a difference. That not only do they get to actively participate and engage with the group, but if they hadn't showed up, the group wouldn't have been the same, and they can tell that. So maybe that's part of prayer time, maybe that's incorporating more time for discussion in Zoom calls when we meet over Zoom. But just as my children were deeply hungry to be able to talk about the creative process and speak into the creative process, I believe so many adults desperately want to be able to create and feel like they matter so much that if they're not there, the group isn't the same. And so as we give people the opportunity to create, to speak into the process or feel like they make a difference, as we give people that attend our groups quality time, I believe they're going to want to come more. I believe they're going to want to know more about what motivates us, how we have passionately learned to pursue Jesus, and they're going to want to have that same passion in their hearts and in their lives. And so I want to invite you to join me on the journey of making disciples for this next season. And I'll explain a little bit more about those concepts and what that means when we break up into smaller groups to talk about that with adult ministries. But I believe that's the vision God has for us for 2020 and 2021. You guys have any questions before we split up into groups? COVID coming. Awesome. Well, you guys have a wonderful time. Thank you all for joining us online. We're about to split up into individual group sessions in just a few moments. For those that want to do adult community group session, we will actually record that, and I'll make that available to you at a later date. So thank you for joining us tonight, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening.